you have any details on that? Hello, good to see you, Facebook and Beyond TV folk. I'm Lisa Remillard, and this
I'm
is
Carlos Amezcua, and this is Facebook Live, and we decided to talk politics because we want to. First of all,
it's that easy.
Robert Mueller was on this morning and watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was really interesting theater, as Washington can only provide.
Right.
Robert Mueller looked a little rough this morning. I mean, I thought he was very measured.
Of course.
One or two word answers.
Yes or no questions.
Yes,
I
true,
mean, yes
not
or no
true.
answers,
I don't
should say.
recall. I'm sorry. Would you repeat? But he had. It seemed like he was stumbling somewhat in some of those responses to questions. But I think he got away unscathed.
Yeah.
I don't know about the president, but Mueller did.
Well, I think what happened with Robert Mueller today is going to play a lot into what is going to happen next week when we watch the 20 Democrat candidates back on the debate stage.
Is there 20 left now? How many?
20.
Is it
It's
exactly
10.
20?
They're doing 10 and 10,
yeah.
2 nights again. And so,
Where's Crazy Bernie going to be?
well,
He's not going to be with the original
no,
group. And I'm sorry I called him Crazy Bernie. I apologize.
Senator
Crazy
Bernie
Carlos,
Sanders,
Crazy Bernie, same guy.
Senator Bernie Sanders will be on night one.
Yes.
He'll
night
be
one,
on
yeah,
night one.
yeah.
So we asked the chair of the Democrat Party here in Los Angeles County, Mark Gonzalez, to come by and talk a little bit about where we stand in the state
Mark.
of California.
Hey,
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Hello, Facebook Live folks.
Yeah, here we are. So this is a big night. These
Two
upcoming
nights.
2 nights. 2 nights on CNN.
Yes.
The Democratic candidates will face off. Talk about. So I mean, my question is, what's the number? I mean, the Kamala Harris-Biden thing that happened last time. Okay, spurred a lot of media coverage. But
Sure.
what do you think will be the first thing they talk about at the debate?
Well, I think it's interesting that they're back together on night 2
Yeah.
again. So
Yeah.
I think that this was a decision made for ratings, but
You think?
maybe. But the first thing, man, maybe the Mueller report, that's been something that's been all over the press today. That's huge. Immigration is definitely something that's going to have to come up again, as we've been seeing all of the changes that have been going on nationally and watching folks in cages. And I know that a lot of members of Congress have gone down there as well, and that's making more headlines, and that's going to definitely come up.
Forever and ever, California has really been taken for granted by the party as just, we're a big blue state, we're going to vote.
Yeah.
We're going to vote for the Democrat no matter what. At some point, is the state of California going to really matter in the political realm?
Yeah, no, it does matter now. I think we moved up our primary to March of 2020. Typically, it'd be in June, so we really matter this time. By the time you got to California, you already knew who the nominee was going to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
And
terrible.
in this case, what's up for grab are delegates. Folks are coming here for fundraising, because you have to remember that in order for a candidate to stay in the debate for the next round in September, you have to have 130,000 unique donors as part of that between now and September from after the debate. And then you have to at least score 2% in 4 polls to even make that next round. So it's really important for them to get large media, large press in California, being that state that has that huge market.
Let's talk a little bit about, the state of the Democrat Party, I think, for the most part, is kind of in a little bit of turmoil, and the most turmoil I've seen in a long, long time, because you have the so-called squad on one side, and you have the Nancy Pelosi contingent on the other.
Yeah.
And it seems that right now there's a big divide, and there's people in the middle who are saying, "Come on, we got to get this party together." Is that hurting the party at this point?
I think if we allow it to the narrative, then yes, that could create an issue. But as I mentioned, it's a distraction. It's a distraction from Trump and those folks who are basically capitalizing on, oh, look at that in-party fighting. They're fighting each other, and whereas I'm staying strong and we're together. And that's the thing about Republicans, is that they stay strong and they stay together. And Democrats tend to attack each other, and that's what we can't do. And that's what we needed to learn from 2016. So a little bit of a distraction, I think. The squad keeps us honest. They have some really good points, and I think that they're got some points that they make on their decision-making process. But it's Nancy Pelosi, who's the Democratic Party leader, who's going to make sure that we all stay in line and go forward and unified.
I want to talk about what the state of California and the party here, what is the big issue that we, or you as the party, what do you focus on? Is there an issue that we're like, the state of California is about this?
You know, as they say, California goes, so goes the nation. And I think us being so close to Mexico, immigration is huge. But and immigration is not just a Mexican issue; it's an API issue. It's a Canadian issue. I mean, you name it. Borders are all over. And so for us, I think that's one of our priorities. Our Congress members here from California are going down to the border. They're seeing children in cages. And so that's one of the priority issues. Healthcare, the Affordable Care Act in California has been something that's been prevailing. You've got climate change is real. I mean, California is huge on leading the way on that. And so many folks are wanting to see what California does. I mean, we're lucky in this state. We're a bubble in terms of how you both live here. You understand how it is. And the issues that we have and the bills that we pass. Governor Gavin Newsom is leading the way on that. And then in Los Angeles County, it's a double bubble, right? You've got, our own Democratic council members, 14 out of 15 are, and we're on our way to change that over in the 15th district as well. Our supervisors, 4 out of the 5 are Democrats, and so we're very fortunate.
Now, some would say, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate, if you don't mind.
No, of course.
That having a supermajority in Sacramento, having so many Democratic office holders is a detriment to California, that we don't have enough diverse voices and that we don't get enough opposition and that there's not enough of a balance in our governments.
Democrats are the same. So I think that's what we also have to realize, that there are certain Democrats a little bit more moderate, and there are certain parts, that are redder districts or purple districts that Democrats have prevailed. With 2018, if you saw the midterms, there are 7 seats that we took back. And as Congressman Bass has said, and I'll use her line, these seats are rented, they're not owned. And so we have to make sure we tell folks in Orange County, we got to keep Katie Porter, we got to keep Katie Hill out here in the Antelope Valley, we got to keep Gil Cisneros and other folks, Harley Ruda, and make sure that they stay in those seats. And they have to be very selective on how.
On the other hand, Brian Mainshine switched parties. So you've got some Republicans who've gone.
Changed too.
Yeah, it totally did. Yes.
Yeah.
Feasible.
Right.
But yeah.
I want to talk strategy for the party for the 2020 election. And, once we get past the debates and the candidate is named, what is the strategy? Because last time around, when then candidate Donald Trump, the polls said there's no way in the world he's going to win. And then, lo and behold, election night happened, and he won. So what is the strategy from the party going around this time?
My personal theory is I think folks weren't telling the truth on those polls.
Clearly, that was the truth.
Unless you go to the other way and say that they were completely hacked. But outside of that thinking, look, the strategy is to California, like we said, we're lucky in how blue we are. So it's about, we have headquarter operations who are calling outside to other states. We have buses that'll go to other states. And we're making sure we get out the vote in those areas. In Nevada, it's extremely crucial to get those votes. It's New Hampshire, that's going to be key. Obviously, we know Ohio, some of those swing states are going to be key, Florida especially.
I find it interesting, over the years, California, because of the way it was positioned, didn't matter. But it did matter in one very huge aspect, fundraising.
Yeah, it still does.
All of those candidates come to LA for the big bucks. They have the big parties here, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat.
Right.
Yeah.
Although we haven't seen Donald Trump here as much as we saw Barack Obama when he was president. He was here all the time raising money. Of course,
his base
was here, and he was generating a lot of cash. So from that standpoint, this is where we talk about our program here, that we always say, look, California matters globally. We're a giant economy. We really do matter in the country. We actually matter worldwide, and so it's not surprising that California is now becoming more and more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Prevalent. What?
Well, no, it's making a difference. It will make a huge difference in the next election.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yes, fundraising is key, and as we talked about, the delegate votes are key. But we also can't forget that in 2016, of the 58 counties, 27 went to Donald Trump. So that's very important.
Yeah.
Los Angeles in particular is more important because 1/3 of the voting base is LA County, their entire state. We're huge.
1/3.
One
wow.
third. LA County is 1/3 of the voting base.
Wow.
In the state. Yeah. Huge.
What, if you don't mind me asking, who is your personal favorite?
Carlos Amezcua.
Carlos Amezcua not running for president.
Are you sure?
The sweet
There is
Lord.
still time for me.
No, there is not time.
Just call me Mr. President.
No, please don't. Please
21
don't.
candidates.
And this is my real hair.
Yeah, right. See,
But I can
congratulations.
color it orange if you want.
No, I do not want. Thank you. No, seriously. Is there somebody that at this point that that the Los Angeles County Party is leaning towards?
No, we don't. I mean, technically in our bylaws, we can't endorse. So legally, we cannot do that, nor can the state party. But, you know, look, I think the heavy hitters that we're watching are Julian Castro, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders definitely has an impact out here. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris is our U.S. senator.
Right.
This is our home plate, home turf.
You know, I mentioned, I think in our last broadcast when we were talking about this, that to me, the one candidate that Donald Trump would be really, really, really hard pressed to get a nickname for would be Buttigieg.
Yeah.
Because you just can't anything he says is going to hurt it. It's going to hurt the president.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's got Sleepy Joe and he's got Crooked Hillary and all those nicknames that stuck, you know, No Energy Jeb and remember all those things,
yeah.
you know, all those nicknames that he labeled people with stuck and they were part of his tactics. But Buttigieg, you know, I think that's a real fire there for him that he's not going to be able to handle.
I agree.
So it'll be interesting to see
I'm
that.
curious. I'm wondering if he just doesn't take him serious, and that's why he hasn't done that yet. Because once he says something, you know that creates.
It's going to stick. Yeah.
It's going to stick, but it creates more followers and more attention. So my theory is he probably doesn't want to give him that attention.
Yeah.
Because he knows he'll prevail.
Yeah. Well, we will watch these next two nights, the next two debate nights, as I'm sure you will as well.
Get
you
out
will
that
be
popcorn.
Is there just before I let you go, I have to ask.
Sure.
Because the Kamala Harris and Joe Biden kind of confrontation of the last debate really caught headlines. Does that hurt these types of confrontations like this?
No, I appreciate the fact that Kamala brought up an issue that was personal to her, and I think it was something that needed to be addressed. And so if we put that out on the forefront, we'll get that out of the way because it was an issue. I think he was a senator at the time that was kind of
It was a different era.
governing in that era, and she was a child or younger in that area and was a younger woman, African American, dealing with decisions made by him. And so it was important for her to get that out because, African Americans matter and those votes matter and people of color matter, Latinos matter.
I was surprised to hear when he said I wasn't ready for that question.
I
Really surprised that his
Afterwards.
people didn't prepare him for that. But that's politics. Sometimes you think you're ready for everything, and he wasn't quite ready. He could have said a lot of different things, but I think she won that round. Yeah,
Yeah, she definitely did, and who's to say that they won't be on a ticket together? We don't know that.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
That
That would be great.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Lord, that'd be great.
All right. Well, of course, you can go to if you want to watch. You guys are having a watch party, right?
We have many watch parties all over the county. LACDP.org.
Okay.
If you click on that, we'll have many watch parties from Pasadena down to the South Bay, over to Koreatown. We'll have all kinds of stuff.
Now, if you want to comment on Facebook, just go ahead and comment on the Facebook page. Any questions you'd like us to ask in the next Facebook
time
Live?
around, yeah.
And we do. We want you to be engaged with us, so we'll be able to provide you information that you need or that you want. Or if you hated this, just let us know. Either way, we want to hear from you because we want to build this so that it's comfortable for you and so that we can do our job as journalists in asking questions
But
of
you want
our
to hear the
guests
answers
here.
too.
Yeah,
And if you have
absolutely.
any complaints, you can direct them to Carlos
Direct them
at
to me. I'm the
carlosanlisa.com.
future president of the United States of America.
That's right.
Don't give him that,
Nominated by
Mark.
one Mark
Please don't
Gonzalez.
give him that, please.
Mark Gonzalez knows.
Mark, he knows
power.
what he's talking about.
President of his fan club now.
Oh, gosh. You too. Thank you for being
Of course,
here.
thank you.
We'll see you guys next
See you
time.
Facebook.
Yeah.